In 2014, two men died within months of each other. One was Ronald Redd. He was a gas station attendant and a janitor in rural Vermont. He wore flannel shirts, chopped his own firewood, and lived in a tiny house. When he died, the world was shocked to find out he had a net worth of $8 million. He left most of it to the local library and hospital. The other man was Richard Fuscone, a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive. He had an MBA. He was a master of the universe in finance. He retired in his 40s to a massive mansion with 2 swimming pools and 11 bathrooms. But when the 2008 financial crisis hit, he was leveraged to the hilt. He declared bankruptcy. He lost the mansion. He died with almost nothing. In what other industry is a janitor capable of outperforming a Harvard MBA? A janitor cannot perform heart surgery better than a surgeon. A janitor cannot design a skyscraper better than an architect. But in finance, he can. Because finance is not a hard science. It is a soft skill. It is not about how much you know, it is about how you behave. This is the core premise of Morgan Housel's masterpiece, The Psychology of Money. Most of us are taught that money is math. If you want to get rich, you need to analyze charts and understand macroeconomics. But Housel argues that money is actually psychology. It is about fear, greed, pride, and social comparison. In this video, we are breaking down the 12 most critical lessons from the book. We are going to look at why reasonable is better than rational, why getting wealthy is different than staying wealthy, and why, no matter how much you make, it never feels like enough. Lesson 1, no one is crazy. We all think we make decisions based on spreadsheets and logic. We don't. We make decisions based on the history we lived through. Imagine you were born in 1929. By the time you are in your teens, the stock market has dropped 90%. You watch your neighbors starve. You watch banks fail. To you, the stock market is a scam. It is dangerous. You keep your money in cash under the mattress. Now, imagine you were born in 1970. By the time you are a teenager, the S&P 500 has gone up tenfold. To you, the stock market is a wealth-generating machine. You are aggressive. You take risks. Neither person is crazy. They are just products of their time. Your personal experience with money makes up 0.00001% of what's happened in the world, but 80% of how you think the world works. So, when you see someone spending money in a way you think is stupid, remember, you don't know their history. And when you feel fear about investing, ask yourself, is this real danger, or is this just my trauma speaking? Lesson 2, luck and risk are siblings. We love to create narratives. When someone gets rich, we say they were a genius. When they go broke, we say they were reckless. But often, the line between the two is razor thin. Consider Bill Gates. He is brilliant. But he also happened to go to one of the only high schools in the entire world that had a computer in 1968. If he went to a different high school, there is no Microsoft. That is luck. But Gates had a friend named Kent Evans. Kent was just as smart as Bill. They were going to conquer the world together. But before high school graduation, Kent died in a mountaineering accident. The odds of that happening were 1 in a million. That is risk. Luck and risk are the same force working in opposite directions. Be careful who you idolize and be careful who you look down on. Focus less on specific individuals, who might be lucky, and more on broad patterns, which are repeatable. And most importantly, give yourself a break when things don't go your way. Lesson 3, the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. There is a story about the author Kurt Vonnegut. He is at a party hosted by a billionaire hedge fund manager. He tells his friend, "This guy makes more money in a single day than I made from all my books combined." His friend replies, "Yes, but you have something he will never have." Vonnegut asks, "What?" His friend says, "Enough. Rajat Gupta was the CEO of McKinsey. He was worth $100 million. He could have done anything. But he wanted to be a billionaire. So, he started insider trading. He got caught. He went to prison. He lost everything. Why? Because he didn't have enough. Capitalism is great at generating wealth, but it is also great at generating envy. If you get a raise, you buy a better car. You move to a better neighborhood. Now, your neighbors have Porsches. So you need a Porsche. The goalpost moves. If you cannot stop the goalpost from moving, you will eventually take a risk that ruins you. You have to define what enough looks like, and then stop. Lesson 4: Understanding the power of time. We all know Warren Buffett is rich. But here is a stat that will break your brain. $81.5 billion of Warren Buffett's $84.5 billion net worth came after his 65th birthday. Buffett isn't just a good investor. He has been a good investor for 80 years. If he had started investing at 30 and retired at 60, nobody would have ever heard of him. His skill is investing, but his secret is time. Housel uses the analogy of the ice ages. How do ice ages happen? You don't need a freezing cold winter. You just need a summer that is slightly cooler than normal, so the snow from winter doesn't melt. The next winter, more snow falls on top. Layer by layer, over thousands of years, the world freezes. That is compounding. You don't need massive returns. You just need average returns sustained for a freakishly long period of time. Shut up and wait. Lesson 5: Getting wealthy and staying wealthy are two completely different skills. Getting wealthy requires optimism. You have to take risks. You have to swing for the fences. Staying wealthy requires paranoia. You have to be terrified that what you have can be taken away. Many people have the first skill. Very few have the second. This is why lottery winners go broke. They approach their money with the same risk mindset that got them the ticket. To survive, you need a margin of safety. You need cash in the bank that earns zero interest. Why? Not for growth. For survival. That cash buys you the ability to sleep at night when the market crashes. It prevents you from being forced to sell your stocks at the bottom. Planning is important, but the most important part of every plan is to plan on the plan not going according to plan. Lesson 6: You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. This is how venture capital works. If a VC invests in 50 companies, they expect 40 to fail. They expect 8 to do okay. And they expect 2 to become Google. Those 2 tail events pay for all the failures and then some. The stock market is the same. Most public companies are duds. The entire return of the stock market index is driven by a tiny handful of companies that grew 10,000%. If you are a stock picker, and you miss those few companies, you lose. This is why buying the index is so powerful. You guarantee that you will own the tail events. You don't need to be right every time. You just need to be in the game when the tail event happens. Lesson 6: You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. This is how venture capital works. If a VC invests in 50 companies, they expect 40 to fail. They expect 8 to do okay. And they expect 2 to become Google. Those 2 tail events pay for all the failures and then some. The stock market is the same. Most public companies are duds. The entire return of the stock market index is driven by a tiny handful of companies that grew 10,000%. If you are a stock picker, and you miss those few companies, you lose. This is why buying the index is so powerful. You guarantee that you will own the tail events. You don't need to be right every time. You just need to be in the game when the tail event happens. Lesson 8: The man in the car paradox. When you see someone driving a Ferrari, you don't think, wow, that guy is cool. You think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I am cool. Here is the irony: no one cares about your possessions as much as you do. You think your expensive car, your fancy watch, and your big house are signals that you are successful. But to everyone else, they are just props for their own fantasies. They are looking at the object, not you. If you want respect and admiration, be kind. Be humble. Be smart. A Ferrari won't get you respect, it will just get you stares. Lesson 9: Wealth is invisible. We tend to judge wealth by what we see. We see the cars, the Instagram photos, the clothes. But that is not wealth. That is spending. If you see someone driving a $100,000 car, the only thing you know for sure is that they have $100,000 less than they did before, or $100,000 in debt. Wealth is the nice car not purchased. The diamond not bought. The watches not worn. Wealth is financial assets that haven't yet been converted into the stuff you see. Rich is current income. Wealth is income not spent. The problem is that it is hard to imitate what you cannot see. We want to be wealthy, but we imitate rich people by spending money, which creates the exact opposite result. Lesson 10: Aim to be reasonable, not rational. On paper, rationally, you should leverage your portfolio 2 to 1. You should never pay off your mortgage because interest rates are low and the market returns are high. That is the math answer. But we are not spreadsheets. We are emotional creatures. If paying off your mortgage gives you peace of mind, do it. Even if the math says it's wrong. If holding 20% of your portfolio in cash makes you feel safe enough to not sell during a crash, do it. The best financial strategy isn't the one that maximizes returns. It is the one that maximizes your ability to stick with it. Adherence is everything. Lesson 11: Nothing's free. Everything has a price, but not all prices appear on labels. The S&P 500 has returned about 10% per year historically. That is an incredible reward. But what is the cost? The cost is volatility. The cost is fear. The cost is watching your portfolio drop 30% and not selling. Most people try to avoid this fee. They try to time the market. They try to get the reward without the risk. Housel says you should view volatility as a fee, not a fine. If you get a speeding ticket, that is a fine. You did something wrong. If you go to Disneyland, you pay a fee. You didn't do anything wrong, that's just the cost of the ride. When your portfolio drops, don't think, I made a mistake. Think, this is the fee I pay for the privilege of compounding my money. Money is complicated. But it's not complicated because the math is hard. It's complicated because we are messy, emotional humans. We want freedom, but we buy chains. We want safety, but we chase risk. We want to be wealthy, but we act rich. If you take one thing from the psychology of money, let it be this: define your game. Are you playing the long-term game like Warren Buffett, or the short-term game like a day trader? Don't take financial advice from someone playing a different game than you. Save your money. Be humble. And wait. Because true wealth isn't about having the most, it's about having enough. If you want to master your own psychology, I highly recommend reading the full book. I've linked it below. If this video helped you rethink your relationship with money, hit the like button and subscribe. We explore the best ideas in finance and productivity every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.